Have you ever wanted to start your property investment journey and think, wow, I need lots of money to start my investment journey? I feel you. I was in the exact position a few years ago until I learned what I'm about to share with you. I'm going to share with you how you can start your property investment journey with no money, no credit card, no debt, no loan, nothing like that. Look, if you cannot invest 30 minutes of your time to learn how to start your property investment journey with no money so you can become financially free, I'm afraid you're not going to make it. You will still stuck working for people and wondering why you're still broke. But for those who stays until the end, this will transform the way you think about investment property. In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can start with no money, how to get the property, how to get the tenants to live in the property, but also how you could expedite that process to make at least a minimum of £21,600 in property. Let's get to it. Look, the first thing when it comes to investment property is a mindset. You got to make sure you got the mindset to go all in. You got to get your mindset straight and obviously make it your responsibility, duty to invest in property, but also to become financially free, because that is the roadmap to take you to the destination where you want to go. You see, before I started, I hated my job. I never wanted to work for someone, but money was always the issue when it comes to properties. But I learned a strategy. The strategy I'm about to share with you is called rent to rent. I know you may have heard about this strategy, but let me define it and tell you how I used it to start investing with no money. So what is rent to rent? Rent to rent is the process by which an investor would rent a property from a landlord and he subsequently rent that property out on a room by room basis. We call it rental HMO. You may be asking, where do I get these properties from? So there are so many places, but I'm going to name 3 of these places where we get 80% of our investment properties. First one, this is going to blow your mind away. Rightmove. Have you ever thought about going to Rightmove to look for properties? You may be thinking, maybe I tried, but it's only to look for property where I want to live in. So here's the thing. You could also use Rightmove to get properties for investment. 2, Zoopla. Zoopla is similar to Rightmove. They do exactly the same thing. That's another platform that will really get you to start getting these sort of properties. But the one that really gets you directly to the landlord is a platform that you might have never thought about. You'll be thinking, what, when I reveal it? It's a platform called Gumtree. Gumtree is as basic as you would ever think about a property, but that is your gold mine. Why is it your gold mine? It's because it is the website that you would be direct to the landlord. This is the website that landlords go and advertise their properties themselves. So if you see a property in Gumtree, in most cases, it means it's been advertised by the landlord. And if you're not sure, there's a filter in Gumtree that would allow you to filter properties that are advertised by the landlords themselves. So what do? You're gonna go and look for properties that are 5-bedroom plus property. Let's take an example here. Let's say we've got a property. Forgive my handwriting, right? Let's say we've got a property here. And this property is a property we saw online. Let's say we've got a bedroom here. We have another bedroom there. That gives us our 2 bedrooms. We have another bedroom here. And then we have another bedroom here. Then we've got 4 bedrooms. And then probably we have another bedroom here. That gives us how many bedrooms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedroom. Let's say maybe this here is the sitting dining area. And then we've got a bathroom on this side. And then let's just say bath. And then we have probably another bathroom somewhere here. This then becomes a 5-bedroom with 2 bathrooms. When you see properties like this, you've got to find out how long the property has been on the market, but also you want to look for properties that don't look absolutely amazing. Because if it looks amazing, if it looks beautiful, that means the landlords are actually looking after that property, right? You don't want those sort of properties. You want to look for the ones that are not that well looked after, but also it's been on the market for, say, a few weeks. So the landlord is kind of desperate to rent that property out. So why do you look for these sort of properties? These sort of properties are properties usually owned by people that are very, very busy. They don't really have time to manage these sort of properties. So therefore, they're looking for an investor like yourself. You may be thinking, wow, this is crazy. It is crazy. These sort of properties are out there. So you go for properties that do not look really nice, but also you look for properties that been on the market for a few weeks. And this is the key. Sometimes you want to look for properties that do not have photos, because what that tells you is that the landlord is so busy, he hasn't even got time to actually take photos and advertise the property. So that then gives you a pinnacle advantage in order to be able to close that landlord. Once you've seen the property, you have two options. One, you can either call the landlord if the number is displayed on the ad. Alternatively, you could email the landlord. Once you send that email out, then the landlord will say, okay, fine, fantastic. They will then book an appointment with you. So here's the deal. So once you've seen that property, you've booked the appointment, you may be thinking at this point, Rahim, I haven't got money. How do I rent it? Bear with me. I'm going to walk you through the process on how you can actually secure this property with no money down. So you book that appointment, you then walk into that property, you meet the landlord, obviously. As the landlord is actually walking through the property with you, compliment the property. Say how amazing the property look. Tell them how nice the area is. Compliment the landlord if you have to, because you want to build relationship at this point. So as you're talking to the landlord, you're slowly going to find out why the property has been vacant for like a couple of weeks or so, and what was the reason for it, and why the landlord is actually renting a property like this. You want to find out the landlord's pain point. Yes, you want to find out the landlord's pain point, because you want to understand why they've not been able to rent this property for a very long time. They will tell you all this stuff. They can say maybe they are business people, they're so busy, they have other commitment to do, they never had time to look after that property. So you got to be finding out this pain point. I know what you're thinking right now. You may be thinking, Rahim, these people are wealthy people. They will not listen to me. Hear me out here. They do listen to you. They are exactly like you. The only difference is perhaps they take more actions than you do until now, basically. Don't be fearful to ask these questions, because you will be surprised how much information you get from actually asking them about their property, about themselves, because they would open up and tell you everything that you ever need to know to get this deal closed. Because if you don't speak to the landlord and understand their pain point, you'll struggle to actually rent this property out from them. Let me walk you through a sample script I use to close lots of landlords. So what I do, I said, my name is Rahim. I am an accountant. I work for Deutsche Bank, and I've been working for them for over 5 years. I am one of their fixed assets, and I see this property, and this property really fits the criteria I am looking for, and this property is a property that really is suitable for contractors that we have coming to our offices. So I want to take the opportunity to provide accommodation for these people. These people are working professionals, and they will be probably staying here for about say Monday to Friday, and then back to their houses. And I really see this opportunity, and I really want to take advantage of it, so I can provide this property for our contractors and consultants that are coming to visit our property. And by the way, I will pay you the rent. I'm responsible to pay the rent every single month. Whether I have my consultants or contractors in this property, I still pay your rent every single month. I'm happy to take on management for completely free of charge. Repair and maintenance, you don't have to worry about that. I will foot the bill for that, and I'll guarantee you the rent every single month. Whether I have my consultants or contractors in the property or not, I'll pay you that rent every single month. How does that sound, Mr. Landlord? Mr. Landlord will be thinking, what? You guarantee me the rent every single month? Whether I got people here or not, you're gonna guarantee me that rent? The landlord will be like, this is a godsend. Right? So you got to make sure the landlord understand the concept. You got to re-emphasize the guaranteed rent, long-term contract, minimum of 3 years. You're going to take the management fees off them. Literally, it's completely free of charge. And repairs and maintenance, you're going to foot it, right? For them, they'll be like, okay, if they're clever landlords, obviously, if they're not greedy, they'll be like, you know what? This makes sense. Unless if they don't know what they're doing, or they're ridiculously greedy, then they will say no to it. But here's where lots of investors fail to close the deals. They fail to close the deals because they're so worried about the landlord. Then they become inferior to that landlord, and then the landlord then get their egos up, thinking they're the richest people in planet Earth, and they end up not closing the deal. Right? You got to understand that the landlord needs you. Not closing that deal with the landlord is you doing a disservice to them. So you got to understand their pain point and then serve them with their benefit. But when they start saying, okay, I understand. I said, look, Mr. Landlord, I know you work long hours. I know you've got families to look after. I know you've got a business to look after. If I take on this property, that is one pain away from you. These are the desires that the landlords are looking for. So after I got the pain, you got to paint a desire. You got to have minimum of 3 or 4 desires that the landlord needs based on their pain point. Basically, look at their pain point, you translate the pain points to a desire, which then becomes the benefit of you taking on that property. Am I making sense here? Fantastic. So that is what you want to get into. So then suppose now the landlord has understand, you pinpoint their pain point, you give them their desire, and they're now inclined to accepting your offer. They will turn around and say, look, John, I'm happy for what you just presented me, but look, I rent this property for, let's say, they will say, okay, £1,900. They will say, okay, you can have the property for £1,900. And you're thinking, whoa, £1,900? I don't even have the money to start in the first place. Now, this is a key part. When you're offering, you don't want to offer your last offer. You're going to go literally crazy on the offer. I say, look, Mr. Landlord, I love you so much. In order for this to work for me, I can offer you £1,400. And the reason I'm offering this £1,400 is because I think that is the best fit for this sort of property. Because obviously, I need to do something to it, right? They're like, oh, probably no, I'm not going to accept that, this, that. I'm used to 1,900. And yes, I understand that. But at 1,900, you're used to, it's a gross income. You know, you got to repair the property, you got to maintain the property, you got to manage the property. And this property, by the way, has been vacant for about 2 weeks. So you kind of actually lost most of that 1,900. And I'm offering you this amount, 1,400, literally every single month. Landlord would also turn around and say, okay, you know what? I can do 1,600. You'd be like, I hear you. Because our target here is 1,500, knowing that you've worked out all your figures. You'd be like, look, I love that, Mr. Landlord, but the only regret you would have after I've taken this property is not have dealt with me a long time ago. And I promise you, I will look after this property and you'll be shocked. You'll be amazed when you walked into this property in about a couple of weeks' time, because this is going to blow me. I'm going to do the property really, really nice. So rest assured, I'll look after your property. Property will then be amazing. And you've got 24-hour access. Whenever you want to come see the property, come and say, I'll give you access to it. Just so that you know, I'm not literally messing about with your property. So yeah, 1,500 is my best offer. I would love to do this opportunity with you because I'm not just one-off person. I just want to build a relationship with you so we can go on. Probably you have more properties, or you know people that have properties, so that we can build that relationship from there. I know this sounds basic, right? But this is the ways I started closing property deals. This is the exact blueprint I'm sharing with you here right now. So coming back then the landlord will be like, you know what? Okay, fine. He takes 1,500, but he's like, yeah. And then you go like, where the F do I get that money from? I'm getting there, right? Let's say now the landlord agrees, look, John, I'm happy to take £1,500. Fantastic. So now that's the first hurdle crossed. So now we know the landlord is going to accept £1,500. So now, once the landlord accepts that £1,500, there's something very important you got to do at that point, is to try to close the landlord straight away. In essence, tell them you're ready to take the property straight away. You go then and draft the contract, and the contract you want to draft with this landlord is called company let. It's a corporate let agreement, not an AST. Okay, so basically then you will then get that contract with them, and then you bring the contract, right? So what you then do at that point, the day you book that appointment, the day you meet in the landlord, you bring in the contract, what you want to do at that point is to get the landlord so excited and tell them, look, I love this property, but when I went back, I came back, I looked at this property. Mr. Landlord, I believe this property requires work, and it requires to be painted and decorated, but also it requires maybe 3 weeks of works here, and I'm really keen to get this property going. Is it okay for us to start the rent in about 4 weeks time? And here's the deal. If you want 4 weeks, you ask for 6 or 7 weeks because that's going to be another negotiation, right? And then you get down to a 4 week. Oh, sorry for interrupting this video. I just wanted to draw your attention to a guide I've just created. This guide is for you if you're looking to start and scale in property investment and you've got questions that you want to ask in order to start your property investment. This guide is the ultimate guide to start and scale in property investment journey. I talk about the different type of investment strategies. I also discuss the 11 ways you can raise finance to make any property no money down deals and the type of properties to buy in order to generate a serious return in your investment. And I'm giving this book away for completely free of charge, no string attached, nothing, absolutely free. Click the link on the description of this video to get your free guide now. We've only got a limited number of these copies available as well, so click the link to get your guide now. Let's get back to our video. Assuming that the landlord accepted that 4 weeks to take over the property and set it up. So here's what you're gonna do, is to grab that keys and literally rush into that property and go and look at all the bedrooms, all 5 of the bedrooms, look for the best room in that property. Let's assume room 1 was the best room. You're gonna set room 1 really, really nice, decorate it really, really nice, and get the sitting room also tidy, really, really nice. This is your sitting room. Get it tidy, really, really nice. Make it really, really nice. And then what you then do, basically, you put that property online to advertise straight away. So you may be thinking, where do I put that property? You put the property in the same website where you got the landlord, Gumtree, and another website called Spare Room. You advertise it there, you go on Spare Room, contact prospects, get them to come and view your property. So you want to book an appointment of a minimum of 12 people. You want 12 prospects to come and visit the property. So when you're doing that also, you got to ensure, this is key, you book them all at the same time. You book them all at the same time. You want 12 people to turn up to view a 5-bedroom house. Guess what that does? That creates competition because everybody would want to get that property. And here's what you're going to do once they walked into that property. You're going to take them in all the not nice places, basically, because you would have actually done one of the room really, really nice and the sitting room really nice. But you take them to the worst room, second worst room, third worst room, and you get them through to the property and then get them to the sitting room here and then get them to the best room in the property. And then you're gonna say, look, Mr. Prospect, look, this bedroom here is gonna be amazing. So I'm gonna replicate everything I've done in this bedroom to all the other rooms. By the way, the other rooms will be exactly the same bedroom, be dressed up, set up exactly the same as this bedroom, but also it might be even better than this bedroom. So therefore, if any one of you are interested, I've got 12 of you here and I've got more people coming to view this property. So therefore, if anyone's interested, there is a application form here to complete quickly to leave your name and number there. And anyone who's interested should reserve the room for £200. So if you're interested, reserve it now. So guess what? Because there are 12 people coming to view actually 5-bedroom house, in most cases, you will get 5 people minimum to reserve your property, right? So assuming that 12 people, they're all rushing, grabbing the papers, they're all excited, they put their name down. Because the property is a 5-bedroom house, we're going to get them all to secure each bedroom for £200. So £200 times 5 people, that gives us £1,000. So this £1,000 we've got there is the money, you guess it right, we got to use to go and set this property up. You go and use that £1,000 so as to set these properties up. Okay, remember, you've got 4 weeks. You're in your week 2, securing, everything is done. And then in week 2, tenants are now moving in to our property. So with that being said, we have additional income coming to us. So we are renting the property for £600 per month. £600 per month, if you times that by 5 people, you're talking about £3,000. So out of those 5 people, we've also received £200 each. So in essence, they also owe us £400 each. 400 times 5 people. That then takes us to £2,000. So in essence, in week 2, we have £5,000 coming to us. That is the money we've made out of thin air. So on week 2, we've got 5,000 coming to our bank account, okay? So out of that 5,000 pounds, then obviously we got to protect the tenant deposit. So what that means, basically 3,000 from this 5,000 pounds is going to the deposit protection scheme. So you put that aside, you got your 3,000 here, because you've got to protect your deposit to the tenant. Okay, so week 2, they've moved in, and then guess what? You've made rental income of £3,000, because if you remember, we have 5 tenants moving in at £600 every single month, and then we have our landlord rent that we got to pay, which is £1,500. Am I making sense? Brilliant. And then obviously, because it's a HMO, we'll be liable to pay the bills. Let's say our running cost and maintaining the property, and that would be £900, because it's a 5-bedroom house, so it requires lots of money there. So if you minus the 1,500 and the £900 from your £3,000 rental income, you are on £600 every month. And that £600, it's your nice handsome profit. So now you know, you're now into your 4 weeks to your landlord. You are into maybe 2 weeks into your tenants moving into the property, right? So at this first month rent, you're gonna add the £600 at that point. That takes you to £2,600. And then that £2,600, you can then take to the landlord and say, hey landlord, you know I said I owe you rent and deposit. Fantastic. I'm in position to pay you. So you can say, look, unfortunately, because I had so much work to do in that property, I invested more than I had to invest. So I haven't got all the rent and deposit to pay you. I haven't got the 1,500 deposit. I haven't got the £1,500 rent. But however, I've got 2,600. So I'm only short of £400. So is it okay for me to pay you the £2,600, and the next month, in about 2 weeks time, I will pay you the remaining £400? And the landlord's like, okay, fair enough. He would have gone and seen the property, he's seen the work you've done in the property. He actually loves you for doing that work, right? He'd be like, okay, fine, not a problem. Give me the 2,600 and then pay me the £400 in about 2 weeks time. So now you know that then takes you to week 6 at this point. So in 2 weeks time, you're having another income from your tenant. At that point, they're also gonna pay you £3,000. So from that £3,000, you've got another £600 coming to you. So you minus the 400 from the landlord. That then leaves you with £200. You then repay your landlord at this point here to take this amount to £3,000. So in essence, you've paid your landlord the rent, you've paid your landlord the deposit, and you are literally done, right? So imagine now, you've got this property from month 2. You're making £600 every single month from a property that you don't even own. You may be thinking, whoa, this is crazy. How can this possible? So let's now fast forward. 12 months later, you're making £600 every single month, and it times that by 12, you guessed it right. That gives you £7,200 every single year. If you times that, let's say you're very good at it now, and you've served this landlord very, very well, and in month 3, the landlord is happy with you, and he goes like, look, you know what, I like the way you work. And then you can approach the landlord and say, look, landlord, do you know anybody who may be interested in a guaranteed rent? The landlord's like, oh, actually, yes, I do. Let's say then you are absolutely slow, and you're one of those people that take time to do whatever you do, and you only secure 3 of these properties a year. I'm not talking about 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. I'm talking about a year. Say it takes you 3 properties a year. If you times that 7,200 by 3 properties, you're talking about, you guessed it right, £21,600. I'm gonna write this in a massive font. You're making £21,600 in properties you don't even own. Maybe that is the amount of money you need to make working for someone an option instead of an obligation, so you can go on and start your own investment journey. So if you want to learn how to implement strategies like this, if you want to learn how to make, manage and multiply income through investment properties like this, there's a link in the description of this video. Click that link now to book one of my specialists for free, no obligation consultation to learn and to see how I may be able to work with you to implement strategies like this. If you like this video or any of my videos, smash the like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. I look forward to sharing the next one.